All right, let's set the scene on Scott Robertson, the man with the vision, as he brings heat for the All Blacks against the Los Pumas in the Rugby Championship. Now I'm buzzing for this one because it's, more than just a match. It's the next step in building something legendary. And with Razor at the helm, the selection is going to tell us about where this team is headed, especially with the depth question we've been asking. We're talking McKenzie, Barrett, Cam, Roigard, are these guys ready to step up when it matters most? So the intensity is about to crank up, and I'm here for it. So let's dive in. This is going to be fire. Now, let's be honest, the All Blacks jersey doesn't carry history. It is history. So when we talk about depth in the current squad, especially after a clean sweep, against France, we don't ask the All Blacks, if we are good. We ask, are they deep enough to go the distance? When pressure is white hot, when injuries pile up. I've got no fluff here for you guys today. It's just straight, honest, reflection as usual. We're talking McKenzie, Barrett, Ruben Love and Cortis Ratama. So let's get into it. Let's start at fly half. Now, Damian McKenzie's got the skills, the speed, the X factor. But right now, he looks like he's carrying the weight of the jersey, and he's trying to do too much. It's not a knock on his talent, it's a reflection of where we are in terms of combinations and chemistry. Barrett, being out changes everything. The natural leader at 10, gone. Imagine that. So who steps in? McKenzie had, flashes, but there's hesitation. Ruben Love, he was brilliant at 15, he was electric and broken play. But is he ready, to control a test match at 10? Do we shift Will Jordan back to, 14 where he's most dangerous? Or do we bring in some Super Rugby players that were on form, I could think of Reeves Rehana, at the Crusaders. Another person I could think of is, Jacob Jacomb, from the Chiefs. Some young blood there, some big potential, but still raw at this level. There's no crisis, but there's also no clarity. But now to the halfback. Cam Roigard is the guy, he's composed, controls the tempo, and brings energy, but take him out of the picture, and suddenly, the gap, becomes obvious. Cortis Ratama, he's dangerous with the ball in hand, that break set up, Will Jordan, pure class. But the box kicking, still inconsistent, too long, not accurate, and at test level, that matters, you can't afford to, have soft exits and territory losses. And then we've got Noah Hotham, huge upside, but he's just back from injury, and hasn't had enough minutes. So now apparently I heard that he's now injured. But, right now the load is on Cam Roigard is massive, a lot of pressure there. But that's not sustainable over a full rugby championship or into a World Cup cycle. So let's shift, to the forward pack. Late in the France series, Luke Jacobson goes down and Duplessis Korefi steps in, immediately. And then the line-out misfires, Christian Leo Willie gets thrown into the fire. So it'd be interesting, what's your thoughts? I mean, where would you put Satiti when he comes back in the Rugby Championship? I mean, he's injured, but he's back. Where would you put Satiti? And also, what do you guys think of Luke Jacobson's form in the All Blacks? Is this time over? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. Don't get me wrong. I mean, these players are good, they are the future, no shade, but they're still finding rhythm at test speed, Test rugby isn't just physical, it's mental and, technical. Combinations matter, and who calls the line out, who controls the backfield, and who leads the cleanup. You can't manufacture that experience overnight. But look, this isn't panic stations. This is just a natural tension, of a team evolving. McKenzie, Roigard, Ratama, they're getting valuable reps. Mistake, absolutely. But that's part of the build. Scott Robertson isn't just here to win tests. He's here to build a dynasty. That means, blooding new players, letting them fail, and learn and come back better. It's uncomfortable, but not, necessary. But, you don't get 200 test legends without letting 10 test players grow into them. So, yeah, there is gaps, but there's also promise, science. The ingredients are there, but we need now is, what we do need now is patience, smart coaching, and consistency. Depth isn't just about the next guy up, it's about the guy who, lead when the next man's down. So we're in that discovery phase, in my thoughts, but it's messy, but it's meaningful. But we're not just, picking a team, we're building a legacy. So now it's your turn. I want to hear your rugby IQ. Now, who's your starting 15 against the Los Pumas in the first test in the Rugby Championship? Drop your predicted squads, who's going to be the starting 15 for the, remainder of the 2025 Rugby Championship. Who's at 10, or does Moanga, does he come back, is he ever going to come back to the All Blacks next year, is it McKenzie at 15, what does the loose trio look like? Does Tupu Va'ai, does he need to shift back to, the locks, the second row? Or who wears 2, who wears 7? And, we've got a bit of a midfield crisis. So who's at 13? So let's see who's thinking long-term, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more rugby content. Keep supporting your rugby teams, and keep the rugby spirit alive, and we will see you in the next video.